Facebook, how are you? It's Randy Floyd. You know what time it is. It's noon on Monday. I'm here live on the AskMidwestAnxiety Show, here to answer your questions today. I'm at the beautiful Park Place. This is all about, this live show is all about asking me questions and me answering them. I would love to answer a question that you have. Can be about anything from my favorite food to I can't get my child out of bed in the morning for school to I have trouble pushing through that panic. You know, whatever your question may be, I come on every day at noon on a different social network and just ask people or answer people's questions. And Mondays are Facebook Live Day. Really excited for you guys to join me. As you're joining me, as you're putting your questions in, I would love to talk a little bit about just anxiety and the behavioral part of when people have anxiety, generally what happens. Because I think a lot of times we start to have anxiety and we learn a certain way of dealing with anxiety, but the problem is sometimes what we feel may be the best way is not always the best way, right? It may be the best way for the short term, but for the long term, it's probably not best for us. And so I want to talk about the behavioral part today of anxiety. You know, so with CBT, you have thoughts, you have feelings, and you have behaviors. So thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. We're going to focus on the behaviors today. And with the behaviors, generally, there are a couple things when you start to feel anxious. And I'm going to probably end up doing an episode where I'm riding a bike, because this is the easiest way for me to kind of talk with people about anxiety. So, okay, so just imagine yourself riding a bike. Imagine yourself riding a bike. If you're riding straight, great. We'll say that's no anxiety, right? But as you start to go up a hill and you start to experience some anxiety, then that hill gets a little steeper and it's harder to ride up that hill, right? So the more you go, sometimes the steeper the hill is. Well, the trouble is, a lot of times when people start experiencing anxiety, they're like, oh, I just don't think I can do it. I don't feel like I can do it. I don't feel like I can do it. And so that feeling may start to take over, or thoughts of, I just can't do this. I just can't do this. So the steeper the hill, the more that you start to experience anxiety, the less you have to tolerate it. And so for me, when I'm working with people, I talk about, you know, you're going to ride up that hill and you're going to feel anxiety. Yes, I want to feel anxiety. Why? Because when I feel that anxiety, I want to keep pedaling. I want to keep riding up that hill. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop, because if I stop, I'll ride back down the hill. I'll fall back down the hill. So a lot of times people, when they have anxiety, they start riding up that hill. Oh, it's getting a little too much, 2, 3, 4, and then fall back down. And so they do a lot of this. So what we want to do is we want to gradually, you know, ride these hills where we keep going up, we keep getting up till we got to the top of it. What do we know when we get to the top of the hill? Oh, well, it's exhausting. It feels pretty doggone good. It feels good, why? Because on the bottom, on the way down, it's a lot easier, right? It's a lot easier coasting. So the goal of working with anxiety is to keep going, is not to stop on the hill, because then you're going to roll back down the hill. So what that looks like is, a lot of times when people are riding up the hill or experiencing anxiety, they stop, they may go into it for a minute, or they may not. They may start to anticipate it. And